Hello everybody, welcome back to Sin City Living. This is Jason bringing you today's video. And this one comes off of a comment we got from one of our players because I only got one email. Over the last two and a half, 3 weeks or so. So one email that I can film a video for you guys. So kind of having to just pull it out of the parts best left unsaid to come up with ideas for videos for you guys. Luckily we had a comment that I could take. Hopefully it's not too short of a video and hopefully not too boring because this is going to be more talking than anything else. The player was talking, or the person that was commenting was talking about scoping out the table. How a smart person will watch the table for a few minutes before buying in and before playing, and possibly even to decide their strategy. Now, the only thing, when we say, a cold table, strategies for cold tables and such like this, the thing to remember is that that's basically just a pithy phrase that really honestly does not mean anything until after the fact. You can watch 20.7 outs or the equivalent in a row and say, man, that was a really cold table. But you can't watch 3 of them and say, wow, this is a cold table, it's going to have 17 more of them. You just can't. The dice don't have sentience, the dice don't have memories, the dice don't have muscles to control their numbers, their rolls. What happens, happens. The previous rolls of the dice have zero effect on the next roll of the dice. If 56s were to somehow roll, you still have the exact same percentage on the 51st roll of a 6 coming out. The previous rolls have absolutely no bearing on it. But watching the table can give you a good idea of a couple of different things. The first thing to do when you're scoping out the tables, look at the rails, look at the racks, look at what players have in front of them. If you see a whole bunch of players that have stacks like this sitting on the rail in front of them, that's a good sign, but don't take this as the be-all, end-all. If you see a stack like this, watch and see how the player plays. Because if you see one stack like this, they could have just bought in for $5,000 and they're way down. Or they could have bought in for $1,500 and they're about even. So watch how they play. If you see big chunks, but they're going $1,000 across or something like that, or even $540 across, then it doesn't necessarily mean the table's running great. That just means that they probably bought in for more. Maybe they had one okay roll. But if you see big stacks like that, and then you look, and the player is coming in at maybe 51 inside, if the point is 5 or 9, but they've got $1,500 in front of them. If they're playing 51 inside, there's a pretty good chance they did not buy in for $1,500, and there's a pretty good chance that they've caught more than one decent roll, or they've either caught one monster roll or a whole bunch of decent rolls. And if you look around the table and you see a lot of stacks like that, then there's a really good, and nobody's coloring up, they're still playing, then there's a really good chance that the table is just what you would call hot. They've had 5, 6, 7 pretty decent rolls, 5 to 15 minute long rolls over the last hour and a half. Because if there was one monster roll that everybody just won a whole crap ton of money, you would see a lot of people coloring up. But when it's a slow, gradual creep, I would say the table sprang a leak. It's just bleeding money. When that happens, players are less likely to color up because they want to keep hitting, and they didn't hit one massive win that just sticks out in their head. The other thing to watch for when you're scoping the table, look at the dealers. Look at the dealers. I'll tell you what you don't want to see. You don't want to see, you don't want to see a dealer that is doing this. You don't want to see a one-handed dealer. You don't want to see that. You also don't want to see a lazy dealer, for instance. It's supposed to be handed out behind the pass line and heeled off. If you see this or this, it's a lazy dealer. Lazy dealer is a very, 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 very bad sign. You also don't want to see sloppy dealers. Why are they throwing it? Why are they slapping the chips down? And let's say a player threw in a quarter and said, I want the 6 and 8. If you see this, you don't want to see that. Why are they throwing chips? You hand off the change. Hand off the change. So those are bad signs. Watch the dealer's general attitudes as well. Watch the dealer's general attitudes. Because, again, as we've said many times in the past, this is also about entertainment. You want to have a good time, you want to have fun, so you don't want a sourpuss dealing to you. That also will really, really, really negatively impact your game. Even if you catch a decent roll, if you've got a sourpuss that's just sloppy, throwing chips at you, just being rude, they're not helping you out, it can negatively impact your game. You may have, you may not be able to get all your presses in because the dealer's being a jerk, and then they move the dice real fast, and then they start no betting you because the dealer's not helping you out, not anticipating your needs, just in overall just being a jerk. The wife and I actually went out and played last night. We didn't play craps, but we went out to the casino, played some table games, and we were tipping quite a bit. The first two dealers, we switched games, and the third dealer we got was such a sourpuss that we actually never once made a bet for him, and then immediately swapped into the fourth dealer was actually our first dealer all over again. So he ended up making a decent bit of money off of us. So look at the dealers, look at the attitudes, see if they have a box, and if they do have a box, are they actually watching the game or are they watching TV? That can make a huge difference. And then look at the players' betting strategies. If you see players that are hopping a whole bunch of stuff every single roll, or stringing their bets in, or stroking the dealers, it's up to you if you want to play there, but it's going to be a slower game. It's going to be a more miserable game. The players themselves don't know how to play to keep the game flowing, then it's going to slow you down. It's going to slow you down. So you want to look at a bunch of different things. Scope out your tables. I see a lot of players that will stand and watch a table for about 5 to 10 minutes before deciding whether or not to buy in. And the smart ones are looking at more than just the rolls of the dice. They're actually looking at the dealers and they're actually looking at the players. So hope you guys find this interesting, illuminating, enlightening, or at least just plain fun. Catch you guys next time. Bye now.